Most people just found out the name Oliver Power Grant, and that tells you everything about how hip-hop works. Because sometimes the most important person in the room is the one who doesn't touch the microphone. Reports say Power passed on February 23rd at 52, and the cause wasn't disclosed. But what made fans stop scrolling was who confirmed it. Method Man. Not a press release, not a corporate statement, just a simple post that felt like family. And here's where it gets crazy. Power wasn't a rapper who tried business. He was the business brain that helped a rap movement move like a machine. If you ever wore Wu wear, quoted a Wu line, or even watched Belly,
in its first year, the Victory Boulevard store grossed $5 million.
Who was he?
Now the clothing line is all over the country, with stores in Virginia, Georgia, and California. You can even find Wu wear in Macy's.
Our main moneymaker was the music, then the touring, then the brand. Probably one of our biggest years was like,
it didn't read like a celebrity.
25 million.
It read like somebody lost their day
25, 30 million.
And that matters, because in the Wu-Tang universe, day one isn't a small word. It's not just who you knew. It's who was there when things were still dangerous, uncertain, and unprofitable. When nobody was handing out opportunities, people were building them out of nothing. That's why fans immediately started calling Power an architect, a behind-the-scenes general, the type of person that doesn't chase credit, but everybody feels the impact. And the wild part, a lot of people only remember him as the dude from Belly, without realizing that role was basically a hint.
You know, we cross-pollinated the music
knowledge
with the fashion.
Wu-Tang Clan is Wu is Wu-Tang Clan.
Anytime, anywhere, you know what I mean?
The best this year,
We didn't even know if that shit was gonna work.
I started Wu from the mail order in the back of Raekwon's album.
It needs money at the right
I want to
moment.
be in Macy's.
Access.
Music isn't the only industry the Wu-Tang Clan is making noise in. It seems everything the group touches turns to
around the
gold.
clan's early rise, helping build infrastructure while Wu-Tang was turning into what it would become. And that's why his name comes up in the same breath as the group's expansion. Because when everybody focuses on the music, somebody still has to make the world ready for the music. Not glamorous, not famous, but if it's missing, the whole thing collapses. Now here's the pivot. Once Wu-Tang started catching fire, Power didn't just manage something. He helped create a whole new lane that rappers today act like was always normal. It wasn't. And it started with a logo you've seen a million times. Wu wear wasn't just merch. It was a statement. We're not just a group. We're a brand. We're a culture. And Power is credited as the creator behind that move. Today, everybody has a brand. Back then, that was rare. Wu wear helped set the template for artist-owned fashion, and reports say it grew into a major operation, even landing in big retail spaces over time. But here's the part that keeps people arguing. When something becomes iconic, the credit gets blurry. Fans remember the logo. They remember the era. But they don't always remember the person who built the machine that pushed it worldwide. And that's why Power's passing feels like the end of a chapter most people didn't even know existed. Now let me show you the Easter egg that was hiding in plain sight. If you know Belly, you remember the energy, the style, the paranoia, the flashy highs, and the crashing lows. And in that world, Oliver Power Grant shows up as knowledge. That credit matters because it places him right inside the culture at its peak moment, when hip-hop was turning into film, fashion, and business all at once. And he wasn't just around it, he was part of it. The same way some people are in the background of the biggest moments, because they helped set the moment up in the first place. This is the kind of connection that makes Method Man's tribute hit harder too, because they didn't just share an era, they shared spaces, projects, and the messy behind-the-scenes reality of building something huge. But Power didn't stop at one film. A year later, Power pops up credited in black and white as Rich Bauer. And if you remember late 90s culture, that period was all about hip-hop colliding with the mainstream. Fashion magazines, film sets, industry rooms, money conversations. Being present in that wave wasn't just about being famous. It was about being connected to the people who could move ideas into real-world
In its
business.
first year, the Victory Boulevard store grossed $5 million.
He's close enough to be in film,
Now the
tied
clothing
to
line is
era,
all over the country,
but still
with
private
stores in
enough that the
Virginia,
average viewer
Georgia,
doesn't know
and
his full
California. You can even find Wu-Wear
and that leads
in
us
Macy's.
to the mid-video
Our
term.
main moneymaker
Because once
was
you
the
zoom out from
music,
the highlight
then the
reel,
touring,
you
then the
start
brand.
hearing about the
Probably
complicated
one of
parts
our
any
biggest
big
years was
empire.
like
Not accusations,
25 million
not gossip
as a whole,
fact.
25,
Just
30
the
million.
reality that when business grows, tension usually grows with it. And that's where this story shifts. Here's the honest truth about any legendary movement. When it goes from friends to millions of dollars, the energy changes. Even reports discussing Power's legacy mention that internal disputes and legal conflicts have surfaced at times within the extended business network, while also describing him as a steady presence. That doesn't mean drama headline. It means something simpler and colder. When a brand becomes global, people start asking, who owns what? Who built what? Who gets remembered? And Power's story
We
sits right in the middle of that
cross-pollinated the
tension
music
because he represents the side
the
of hip-hop
fashion.
most fans
Please
never
swear.
see.
Wu-Tang Clan is
Contracts,
Wu-Wear,
merchandise,
Wu-Tang
strategy,
Clan.
led,
Anytime,
long-term
anywhere,
plan.
you know what I mean?
So when the
The best
news
this
breaks
year,
that he's
Wu-Wear
gone,
and
it doesn't just
We
feel
didn't even
sad.
know if that shit was gonna work.
Feels
I
like a
started
missing
Wu-Wear
piece.
from the mail order in the
Because
back of
architect is
Raekwon's
here to
album.
tell the story.
I wanted to be in
Tells it
Macy's.
now. And that
Music
question
isn't the
brings
only
us back
industry
to
the
Method
Wu-Tang
Man,
Clan is making
because
noise
that
in.
tribute
It
might
seems
be
everything the
saying
group
more
touches
than it
turns to
looks like.
gold.
Method Man didn't write an essay. He didn't list accomplishments. He just said enough to let you know this wasn't a distant relationship. And sometimes that's how you can tell who mattered most. The people who did the most don't always get the longest captions. They get the most emotional ones. Because behind closed doors, the power types are the ones who make sure tours happen. Merchandise shows up, deals get negotiated, and the ship keeps moving when artists are exhausted, distracted, or pulled in 10 directions. So when that person is suddenly gone, the silence hits different. And right now, you can see it in the way people are reacting. Less like a celebrity update, more like we lost somebody who held the foundation together. But there's another side to it too. Hip-hop celebrates the front of the stage, the bars, the battles, the moments. But the culture is also built by quiet people who move with precision, the ones who can walk into rooms the artists don't even want to deal with, and walk out with the future secured. That's why Power's passing is making people revisit an uncomfortable idea. How many legendary legacies were actually protected by people we never learned about? And how many major business moves got credited to the brand instead of the person who took the risk first? That's why even if you didn't know his name yesterday, you've still been living in a world shaped by what he helped build. And that brings us to the last question, because this is where the story opens up, not closes. If Power helped the blueprint part of Wu-Tang's business rise, what other stories are still locked behind closed doors? Not conspiracy, not internet theories as facts. Just the reality that time erases details, especially when the person who knew the real timeline isn't here to correct it. So here's what I want you to think about. When a culture loses a behind-the-scenes architect, do we lose more than a person? Do we lose the instructions? Because the next generation is watching, copying, building brands, launching merch, chasing deals, but a lot of them don't even know the origin story of the blueprint they're using. Rest in peace to Oliver Power Grant. And if you grew up in that era, I want you to drop this in the comments. What's the first memory you have of Wu-Wear, and what did it represent to you at the time?
In its first year, the Victory Boulevard store grossed $5 million.